got
Hello
it.
and Happy New Year. Ruth Hobbs for Property Sisters, and we also have Helen Chorley as well, both founders of Property Sisters Network. Please do, if you like this video, come and subscribe and hit the bell button and all of that jazz. That would be fantastic. We are looking at property price predictions, our predictions video for the year. And what is really funny is we've gone back to last year's, and we've not funny, but we've had a look through it. And you know, Helen was obviously right on some points and not right on other points, but you know, that's the fun of the game, right? So
Absolutely.
we've come back again, and we're going to be looking at growth of the economy, property price growth, interest rates, the FTSE, and a new one is going to be Bitcoin for this year. So let's talk about growth of the economy then, Hels. What's been happening?
Well, we're around about, I think, 4 or 5%, which certainly, I tell you what I did get wrong last year was inflation. I didn't foresee the levels of inflation that we had. In fact, if you go back and look at the video, and you can check it out from a year ago, check out all the videos.
I'll put a link up here so you can just click on Helen's video here.
Super duper. I was talking about how that balance of inflationary and deflationary pressures would happen, and it was going to be interesting to see how they played out. Basically, the inflationary pressures absolutely smashed the deflationary pressures. You know, we had inflation, I mean, official inflation is running around about 5%. It's predicted for 6%, and you know, that's the official headline numbers, but what the actual real numbers are, I mean, we've got to be nearly double digit in actual terms, and obviously that's had an impact onto house prices as well, hasn't it? And it's also had an impact on GDP as well. I do wonder if there's going to be more softening this year if we do see more interest rate rises and the impact of those. Whether we'll get as many as are being predicted if you look at kind of interest rates, you know, kind of futures and swap rates. I don't know. I think we'll still be sub 1% by the end of 22. I really do. There was an amazing article this year. Again, we'll put the link here, that Adam Lawrence did, where he talked about financial repression, and actually that's where the Bank of England has got to be seen to be dealing with inflation. And we saw that, you know, they did a rate rise in December before Christmas, but actually it's working in their favor to have such a high inflationary environment at the moment, because it's eroding all this money that we keep printing, you know, record quantitative easing. Isn't it something like, I can't remember the exact numbers, but in the States, the most amount of money ever printed has literally happened in the past few years.
I mean, it's incredible.
It really is incredible. Yeah. And I think also that what you've got that we did touch on last year, and that momentum has continued and is also supportive for house prices, is the institutional interest in the sector. So over the course of the year, we had Lloyd's come out and say they were going to be investing more heavily in the residential sector. John Lewis, you know, all these kind of household names. And you know, that's kind of the tip of the iceberg. And of course, when they do anything, it's going to be in size. This isn't them buying the odd house here and there, right? You know, they have mega millions to put to work.
Yeah. So your prediction is sub 1% for the growth of the economy.
For interest rates, sorry. And
you've jumped ahead.
Sorry, sorry.
What's your prediction for the growth of the economy?
I'm going to be a conservative 3%.
3% for this year. And then you did touch on property price growth, which is our next prediction. We didn't really touch on it last year in the video. You sat on the fence quite a lot, to be fair.
I did, and I would have been way under, because actually on an overall figure, it's come in at what, around 10%?
So the annual change index for October, the nationwide index, has come in at 9.9%. So that gives you an indication, like no one got that right for the year.
No.
So it's massive, isn't it? I think we all can feel that in the property prices, can't we? So what do you think for this year? Are we going to see that again, or not so high?
we've not had the ONS numbers yet. They're always notoriously slow. So it'll be interesting to see what they are, but it's got to be there or thereabouts. And obviously there's huge regional differences. The Northwest has done very well. Obviously, I have a particular kind of interest in that. And London has just fared at the slower end, or only around 4% over last year. And obviously I have an interest in that because I have a place in London as well. I would be surprised if it maintained the same levels that we've had in 2021. I think we'll be sub 10% for sure. But there are still a lot of supportive factors, particularly, like I say, you know, the institutional one is a real one for me because of the sheer size of money that they've got to deploy. So,
and obviously, you know, the supply and demand as well, you know, through COVID, we haven't been building again, we haven't been building enough properties, the same old figures every single year, which pushes, you know, house prices up considerably anyway. So
yeah, I mean, we are expecting kind of more supply this year because we've got the end of the eviction kind of ban, if you will, and we haven't got, or we not expecting to have kind of the distortions that stamp duty inflicted on 2021. But I don't know, let's go bang in the middle, let's go 5%.
Boom. Right, 3, interest rates. Now, it flatlined completely last year. You touched on it a little bit in the video. Again, you sat on the fence on it. Obviously, it was a strange old year last year with lockdown, etc. It was doom and gloom at the beginning of the year. But obviously, the bank just raised the interest rates slightly at the end of the year, and they were pushed into it. But they pretty much remained steady. So again, this year, what's your prediction and why?
Again, I think they've got to be seen to be doing something exactly as you said. I think it's with inflation, they just keep creeping up what they're expecting of inflation. So inflation was predicted originally about 5% in Q1 of 2022. Well, we've seen that already in Q4. And now I think they've got 6%. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see that nudge up to 7%, and again, the real number, I think, is already way ahead of 7%. So that's what's affecting our pockets. However, that environment is helping with the amount of debt that we've got going, unprecedented levels of debt and quantitative easing. Certainly the states are just raising or maintaining that level. And if we're going to follow what they're doing, then there seems no end to that. So inflationary environment is working for them. So again, I think it's going to be little, very, very little done in kind of nominal terms. I wonder if even they'd make, normally they move in 0.25%, 25 basis point increments. I wonder if they do something, make it smaller, like a 10 basis point increment to kind of ease out that, so they can be seen to be doing more but smaller. So actually net effect is the same, but it looks like they're more active, even though actually they're not. That would be an
interesting point. Interesting. Just moving on to the FTSE, just to give you some figures up from last year. The start of the year it was 6,571, and it closed 7,478, which is quite a large 13.8% increase on the whole year. Do you have any kind of thoughts on that, or what's the predictions for this year and why?
I mean, again, a really decent return. I'm remembering the days, certainly when I was in banking, where we had returns of kind of 2, 3, 4%. So a 13% return is a great year, right, relatively. Now you've got other things challenging. I know we're going to talk about Bitcoin. So 13% given as opposed to a 45% in one day return doesn't look as attractive, but still for most people that have got all their pensions and kind of other investments in stocks, that's a great result. It was
interesting to speak to Adam last week about it. He was talking about the Brexit effect is still there, and he thinks that shares are, undervalued at the moment. So, you know, it's go and have a look at that video. I'm going to post it up here and you can have a look at his predictions there. But yeah, that was really quite interesting too.
I think the States is really interesting, and something that so actually I was talking about this with somebody this morning. When I'm looking at investing, and it be it property or anything else, I look what other people are doing. So who else is invested in the same things, or who else is not invested in the same things as me? And certainly one of the things I picked up on, I think it was towards the end of last year, so it's around November time, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos were selling off significant portions of their stocks, of their own stocks. So why is that? When you've got stock prices rallying, you've got something that's doing really well, bringing in a great annuity stream, why are they liquidating some of that? And that certainly provokes questions in my mind.
Yeah.
Are they moving earlier in anticipation of moves that they're anticipating?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a bit more bearish, I have to say, on stocks than I am on
give me your
property.
prediction. You know, we've closed at 7,478 with a 13.8% increase. Where do you see us breaking through that 8,000 this year?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I mean, you know, we
Where
might
do you see it? Give me a figure.
it.
Give me a figure. If I have to hold you to it, if I put a gun to it.
7,800.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I'll come back to you at the end of the year on that.
I'm going
to move on. We're moving on to Bitcoin. We haven't touched on Bitcoin yet. We're going to we'll start looking there every single year. You know, we know it's a hugely volatile. The figures for last year, 2021, it started off 25,000 and ended at around 34,000 with a high of almost 50 and a low of 22.5. There's a massive 45% growth over the year. So if I had
sterling terms,
if I had to ask you, where do you see Bitcoin? Give me where do you see it finishing? It finished at 34k this year. What are your reasons for that and why?
I'm certainly, as it becomes more kind of mainstream, more people know about it, even if kind of there are a lot of people looking at it now. I've literally had a few messages over this past week, people looking to get into it and asking me about it because they know I do dabble a little bit in it, but asking me how do they start. I think when you've got more and more people looking at it, I mean, there's two sides, isn't there? One of them is when the shoe shine boy, what's that story? What's the shoe shine boy? Or it's in the papers and people start talking about it, you should sell. I'm slightly on the other side. I think when you've got, you know, more and more people expressing an interest and just going to put even a little token amount of money, you've got a lot of people beginning to put a little bit of money in for diversification alone, right? Then I think that's supportive of prices. So I am a long-term hodler and I'm quite bullish on the price. Where will we be at the end of 2022?
Come on,
stick my neck out, it's going to double.
Wow, it's going to double, so 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm definitely investing then.
I think it's a wise diversification too. Like, yeah. I do agree with people who are like, you know, what are we buying? Like, what is this thing? Like, what is the underlying? But you can't deny the returns at the moment. And I don't think people should pile into it. I don't think people should put their life savings in it. You know me, I'm very learn about something, understand it. Or if you're going to speculate with an amount that you're willing to, or you're happy to lose.
Yeah, 100 quid a month, for example, that kind of thing. Play the market and see and learn about it first, because
that's it.
The only thing I ever win at is property. Everything else that I invest in, it's like doomsday. As soon as I invest in it, it goes that way.
Okay, well, you let me know when you're going to buy Bitcoin, because I'll get ready to sell.
Well, that's it for this year, and I really look forward to coming back the same time next year to have a look at this video, to have a look at your predictions. So thanks a lot, Hel.